Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, in today's video I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I plan on reading in June. Now I will say from the get-go that this stack is not set in stone. I have had one of the worst reading months in May. I've been way too stressed with my new job and different life things, and because of that I have been feeling very slumpy. I have been enjoying the books that I've been picking up, but it's been taking me so long to actually read them because I don't make the time to sit down and dedicate it to reading. So we're gonna play it by ear this month. I am gonna set a TBR, however if I deviate from it, if I change it a little bit, it is completely fine. We are currently having the most gorgeous weather in the UK right now, and that is definitely making me want to go outside and read. So I have tried to include books from a range of different genres in this stack in order to give me the variety that I need and in order to stop me getting bored and slumpy. Now that I've gotten that little spiel out of the way, let's dive into the books and see what I do plan on reading this month. First up we have The Outsiders by Michelle Paver, which is book one in the Gods and Warrior series. For those of you who don't know, Michelle Paver is one of my favourite authors. Her Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series that you can see here is one of my all-time favourite series. It's the series that got me into reading and I will be forever thankful for it for that. And I do actually tend to reread the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series around this time every year. However, last year whilst I was at Yalc, I did pick up all of the books in Michelle Paver's other series, which is inspired by Greek mythology. Now again, if you don't know, I love Greek mythology. I have been fascinated with it since I was a child, and I do love my retellings, as you can see by the shelf behind me there. So with this being a book by one of my favourite authors and it being a Greek myth retelling, I am so excited to read it. I feel like it's going to be a new favourite of mine and I honestly cannot wait to dive in. So in this one we follow our main character Hylas, and he knows three things: gods exist, magic is real, and somebody wants him dead. Hunted and alone, Hylas is desperate to find his missing sister, and so he goes on a quest to find her across the hostile mountains and treacherous seas of ancient Greece. And it says here, his only friend is a girl on the run, his only guide is a wild dolphin, and his murderous enemies are closing in. The first book in a spellbinding new series from Michelle Paver, best-selling author of Wolf Brother. Now in Wolf Brother we do actually have an animal companion, and you do get the animal's perspective throughout the books, which is one of my favourite elements of that series, so I'm not sure if we will get that in this one with the dolphin. This is definitely the type of book that I want to be reading in this weather when it's nice and sunny. I'm not actually sure if this is YA or middle grade. The Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series is definitely more middle grade, so again this might be a fast read for me as well, which is always good, especially when I'm feeling a bit slumpy. So as soon as we do get into June I will be picking this one up. Hopefully the weather stays lovely and I can read this outside, hopefully in one sitting. That would be fantastic, and I will of course let you know my thoughts on this one in a weekly reading vlog. Next up we have a book that has been mentioned a lot on this channel recently, and that one is The Dive by Sarah Ox. This one is a proof copy if you couldn't tell. I love the cutout of the diving mask there, but I will show you what the cover is going to look like once it is published, and if you couldn't tell, it is a thriller. Now in this one we follow our main character Cass, who one day leads a group of students out to scuba dive off the coast of a party island in Thailand. As you guys can imagine, that is supposed to be an amazing, life-changing experience. However, by the time that Cass gets back to shore, one of her students is dead and another one is seriously injured. She of course knows that this is going to be awful for her career, but not only that, it seems as though she had some secrets and someone has found out about them. And even though some backpackers choose to stay there forever, a few of them are never heard from again. That just sounds amazing in itself, but another element that made me really want to read this book is that this is actually based off of true events. Sarah Ox did go to Thailand and she was scuba certified, and whilst she was staying there she did find out that there was a double murder, I believe it was, on one of the beaches on the island, and it wasn't too far from her hotel actually, which was unfortunately never solved. And so when Sarah left and came back here, the events of that murder just kind of stuck with her and it inspired her to read this book. And so I'm definitely intrigued to see how that will play into the story. I will of course be researching the case as well, because you guys know I'm so interested in true crime, so I do feel like this is going to be a really good book book. I've hyped it up so much, so I'm really hoping that it doesn't let me down. And I'm just excited to finally get to it because ever since I've got it, I've been wanting to pick it up. But again, I was waiting for the weather to get a little bit nicer because you can see from the cover of this book that it's going to be on a lovely remote island, and that definitely gives me the summer vibes. So I'm so excited to get to this one. I cannot wait to pick it up, and as I mentioned, hopefully it does live up to my expectations. The next book I plan on reading in June is one that I don't actually own yet, but I am desperate to get my hands on. And if you guys are on Bookstagram or Book Twitter or BookTok, you will definitely have seen this book around. You will have seen the hype around it, and I want to be a part of that, you guys. And so I do plan on reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I know nothing about this book, you guys. I did see it when Fairy Loot announced that they were going to do a special edition of it, and I was very interested in it then. However, the hype for this book is just wild, and as I mentioned, I have a little bit of FOMO and I would love to get my hands on it and actually read it for myself. So I am planning a trip to Waterstones tomorrow, I believe, to see if I can get my hands on it. However, because of the hype and because my Waterstones is a small one, I'm not too sure whether I will get it then. I might have to order it online, we shall see. But I will definitely be buying it this month. I'm so excited to read it, but I am a little bit scared that I'm going to be the one person that doesn't enjoy it. I am just going to turn to the synopsis for this one on Goodreads because, as I mentioned, I don't know anything about this book. I haven't really looked into what it's about. All I know is that it's a fantasy involving dragons, which has me sold already, to be honest with you guys, but I feel like we should read the synopsis to kind of get an idea of what this book is about together. It says, 20-year-old Violet Sorrengale was supposed to enter the Scribe Quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her toughest talent's mother, has ordered Violet to join in the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away. Because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Seidan Ryorson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, the kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers. Everyone at Basgiath War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways out. Graduate or die. That sounds so intense, but I'm here for it. I am desperate to read this book, as I mentioned. I'm hoping I can go out and buy it and film a dedicated reading vlog for you guys. So again, keep your eyes peeled for that coming soon. I'm not normally one to read hype books this quickly, but a lot of people whose reviews that I trust have read this book and loved it, and I just need to know what it's about, especially before ordering the Fairy Loot edition as well, actually, because if I don't love the book as much, I don't need to order a special edition. However, if I do love the book, that will be a priority of mine. So the Fourth Wing is one that's going to be getting read this month. I cannot wait to get to it and share my thoughts on it with you guys. And as I mentioned, hopefully I love it as much as everyone else and I'm not the one person in the world that doesn't seem to enjoy it. The next book I would like to read is Crystal Storm by Morgan Rhodes, which is the 5th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with my TBRs, you will have seen one of these books pop up in the last few videos. This is a 6-book series. This is the penultimate one. I am excited but terrified to read it because as we get closer to the end of this story, the stakes are just getting higher and higher and I'm just a nervous wreck whilst reading them. I am currently reading the 4th book. I haven't quite finished it yet, so I don't really know where this book takes off or anything like that. All I know is that I love this series. I want to continue on reading the books, and so that is why the 5th book is now on my TBR for June. Of course, I can't tell you too much about this book in particular, but in the first book we follow our 4 main characters, Jonas, Cleo, Lucia and Magnus, as they get swept up into preparations for an oncoming war. Now, there are 3 kingdoms in this book. One of them is prospering whilst the other 2 are having a harder time, and so of course the lesser 2 countries band together to try and overthrow the richest country. This of course presents our main characters with a few moral dilemmas. They can either choose to aid in this war or stand and fight against it, and we of course follow them through these books as the war progresses and as things get more and more intense. Now, another element in the series that I absolutely love is the magic. We have Elementia in here, which, as you can guess, involves the 4 main elements. So we have water, fire, earth and air, and there are actually immortals known as Watchers in this world who live apart from the humans, but they can visit the human realm as hawks, and they have been doing this for centuries in order to find the next sorceress. The sorceress us is going to be able to find the kindred, which is the source of the Watcher's powers, and restore magic into the world, granting them eternal immortal life. Of course though, with there being a magical object involved in this and the immortals wanting it, we have other key players in this story that would also like to get their hands on that kind of power, and so we have one war going on between all of the humans, and then we have this other background element of the war between the humans and the immortals as their greed intensifies and as their lust for magic intensifies as well. That's all I'm going to say about that one. I feel like I do talk a lot about this series, so I won't go into too much more detail. I will say it definitely reads young. They're not the best books ever written, but I'm having such an amazing time with them, and again, as I'm in a slump right now, I just feel like this is the perfect book for me to sit down and fly through. I'm familiar with the characters, the world, the politics, the magic system, and so I can just pick this one up, fall back into the world and enjoy it as a story rather than trying to focus on everything that's going on and make some deductions and things like that. So I'm very excited to read this one. Can't believe I'm almost at the end of this series now, but it's been such a good one. I'm hoping that this one doesn't disappoint, and I cannot wait to read it, as I mentioned. Lastly, we have a book that I'm going to mention here, but again, I'm not too sure whether I'll get to it because it is quite dense, and that one is Mindhunter: Inside the FBI Elite Serial Crime Unit by John Douglas and Mark Allshaker. This is a true crime non-fiction book. It is written by a criminal profiler, and if you guys don't know, you can see a sticker here. This book has been turned into a series on Netflix. Now, I did start watching it, I loved it, and then I never carried on with it for some reason, so I'm definitely in the mood to rewatch that one and read this book. I did mention previously that I am very interested in true crime, especially the psychology behind everything, and so seeing these criminals talk to these FBI agents is so mind-boggling. It's crazy to see how their mind works and how they process things, and so I was very interested to finally read this one. I did start the other day, but again, I just wasn't in the mood for it, so I did have to put it down, so this is definitely a maybe. However, I might just set a page goal for this every week and try and hit it so that it will take me a month to finish it, but at least I will have finished it. I believe that this was also a pick for Chloe's Crime Scene Corner, which is a book club hosted by Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. That is what sparked my interest again and made me pick it up, and yeah, I would just like to get to this one, to be honest with you guys. I always have a true crime podcast on the go. I'm always watching true crime videos on YouTube, and so actually reading about what went on in the minds of these serial killers as they were committing their crimes and seeing them talk to FBI agents about how they should go about catching killers is just going to be really fascinating, and I feel like even though it's a dense book, I will have gained a lot of knowledge from it going forward once I do read it. So there we have it, you guys. These are the 4 books I plan on reading this month, as well as Fourth Wing, which I of course don't have a copy of yet. Please do let me know your thoughts on any of these books if you have read them, spoiler free of course. I love seeing your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comments because it helps me prioritize in which order to read these books. Not gonna lie, I feel like I would probably start off with The Outsiders, then I will move on to The Dive, then possibly Fourth Wing, then Fallen Kingdoms, then Mindhunter. So essentially the order that I presented these books to you is the order that I do plan on reading them in. As I mentioned, I have a range of different genres here, which is hopefully going to help me actually stick to this TBR and get through these books. But as I mentioned, if I do have to go off track, then that is fine. I just don't want to put any more pressure on myself to actually read, because that is when I tend to get slumpy and put things off. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me an ocean related emoji down below. With the weather being so lovely, with these books being set abroad and by the sea, I just feel like that is going to be the perfect emoji for this video. I'm so excited to be getting into the summer months now, and Tom and I have actually just been looking at holidays abroad, so yeah, I'm just very excited, and I would love for you to leave me an ocean related emoji down below in the comments if you are here but you don't have anything in particular that you would like to say. As well as that, another way that you can support me is to click the like button if you like this video, and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. As I mentioned, I do plan on filming a reading vlog for Fourth Wing. I will also be filming a weekly reading vlog where I hopefully read a lot of these books as well, and I do plan on doing a little come book shopping with me soon as well. So if that sounds like your type of thing, please do make sure that you do click the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. But that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!